I doubt that I can write a play that will become a classic, but I can write a successful play if I'm given a chance to. After all, I'm not senile, I don't believe.
Born Thomas Lanier Williams on March 26, 1911, in Columbus, Mississippi, Tennessee Williams was an American playwright and author of many stage classics. He was the second child of Cornelius and Edwina Williams' 3 children. Because his father was a salesman who preferred work instead of parenting, Williams was raised predominantly by his mother. Tennessee Williams had described his childhood in Mississippi as happy and mostly pleasant, but when his family moved to St. Louis, Missouri, his life changed. Williams' childish, carefree nature was removed because of his new urban home, and as a result he turned inward and began to write. The marriage his parents had was also very tense, and eventually Williams later described it as just a wrong marriage. This family situation did, however, provide a fuel for his writing. Williams' mother became the model for the strong but foolish Amanda Wingfield in The Glass Menagerie, and his father became the aggressive Big Daddy in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. In 1929, Tennessee Williams began studying journalism at the University of Missouri. He entered literary contests but did not win, and failed multiple ROTC courses, which were required for male students at the time. After only 3 years, his father withdrew him from the school after learning that Williams' girlfriend was also attending the university. In 1969, however, Williams returned and received an honorary doctorate. After getting pulled out of the university, Williams' father urged him into a sales clerk job with a shoe company. Williams hated the position and again turned to writing. However, he eventually had a nervous breakdown when his depression took its toll on him. After recovery, Williams returned to college in 1937 at the University of Iowa and graduated the following year. By the late 1930s, Williams had also accepted his homosexuality. When Williams was 28, he moved to New Orleans, where he changed his name to Tennessee, which he had been called in college by his friends because that's where his father and other ancestors were from. He soon moved to New York City afterwards. From then on out, Tennessee completely revamped his lifestyle, enjoying the city life that would eventually inspire most of his work, as well as his most notable play, A Streetcar Named Desire, in 1947. Throughout his life, Williams remained close to his sister Rose, who was diagnosed with schizophrenia at a young age. In 1943, she was subjected to lobotomy and subsequently institutionalized for the rest of her life. As soon as he was financially able to, Williams moved her to a private institution close to New York City, where he visited her often. The devastation of multiple family troubles contributed greatly to Williams' alcoholism and future drug dependence. The 1960s were unfortunately also a difficult time for Williams. Some of his work received poor reviews, and he increasingly turned to alcohol and drugs as coping mechanisms.
Even his friends debated whether Williams' magic touch had vanished forever.
I'm always amazed at people who claim that the plays never got less good, because I think they did, and I think Tennessee knew it. And yes, it more or less did him in.
As far as his being a failed playwright, believe me, it was more the people among his friends and among critics who failed him.
But no matter how bad the reviews, Williams never stopped writing and never stopped believing the next play would be the one.
After some treatment and hospitalization, Williams got right back to work writing new plays, like Memoirs in 1975, which told the story of his life in addition to his addiction to drugs and alcohol.
After his release, Tennessee Williams went on national television.
The David Frost show, Tennessee was clearly drunk. And it was one of the few times that anybody ever saw him swish.
Drunk or not, Tennessee bragged about his newfound sobriety.
Right, I'm on the wagon now, and I must say it feels very strange.
You've given it up.
I allow myself 1 drink a day.
And you've given up sleeping pills as well?
Yes, I had to give them up. I'm just on myself now.
And Frost was egging him on, trying to get him to talk about his homosexuality.
How about the things like the homosexuality and so on? Does everybody live with that too?
Homosexuality.
Williams dodged the issue, then came up with a one-liner that delighted the audience.
But I've covered the waterfront.
Williams's place as one of America's major playwrights of the 20th century was secured by the production of his first two Broadway plays, The Glass Menagerie and A Streetcar Named Desire. Fellow writers and critics recognized Williams as a poetic innovator because he refused to conform to what was commonly referred to as the usual sterility of playwriting patterns. He pushed drama into new fields and stretched the limits of the individual play. He became one of the founders of the so-called New Drama as well. One play in particular, The Night of the Iguana in 1961, had a profound impact on the American theater as well as American actors and other playwrights. Williams wrote with deep sympathy about outcasts in society, and though his images were often violent, he was considered a poet of the human heart. Tennessee Williams' plays are among the most popular plays of our time. They continue to provide a variety of acting challenges. The Glass Menagerie was one of his first successes, and is described as a memory play. Many of Williams' other plays were often his nightmares. They were rarely intentionally autobiographical, but they were almost always extremely personal, born from his own private anguishes and anxieties. Other works from his era were unmatched in passion and imagination.
Won the Pulitzer Prize, the Critics' Award, the most revealing play ever written.
New York, London, Paris, Brussels, Rome, all cheered it. It's an even greater motion picture.
This is the story of a woman, Blanche Dubois, who wanted so much to stay a lady. A vivid, vibrant, exciting story, because every searching chapter was written by men. Men who taught her to trust and to hope, to love and to hate. The youth who brought remembrance of yesterday. The man who was willing to take her out of the dark alleys of New Orleans. The brute who lied and cheated, who promised everything, gave nothing.
Don't you ever talk that way to me. Disgusting, vulgar, greasy. But who do you think you are, a couple of queens or something?
Could it be you and me, Blanche?
What does it cost for a string of furs like that?
Why, these are a tribute from an admirer of mine.
Well, he must have had a lot of admiration.
Lies! Lies inside and out! All lies!
Never inside! I never lied in my heart.
You got plenty of room to get by me now.
Come home.
You think I'm going to interfere with you?
Marry me, Mitch.
I don't think I want to marry anymore. No, you're not clean enough to bring in a house with mine.
Gordon.
Williams's character Blanche in his play A Streetcar Named Desire was previously a high school English teacher. She arrives in New Orleans, and it's revealed soon after that she has strong sexual urges and has had many lovers. Blanche avoids reality and prefers to live within her own imagination. She is strong-willed on this particular point, however. She says, quote, "Deliberate cruelty is not forgivable. It is the one unforgivable thing, in my opinion, and it is the one thing of which I have never been guilty." Blanche lies, cheats, and steals, but never to hurt anyone else. She only wants to preserve an illusion, and a main component of her illusion is that she must believe only the best of anyone she loves, and believes that they are incapable of cruelty. Unfortunately, she isn't able to make this dream a reality. This parallels Williams himself with the fact that his alcohol and drug addiction was never intended to hurt anyone else, and the unfortunate thing is that there wasn't really someone who cared enough to hurt for Williams, except for mainly his brother. In A Streetcar Named Desire, Blanche believes the only unforgivable crime is deliberate cruelty. This message is one that continues to be valuable because of the universal concept. Oppositely, another quote from Blanche in her final statement of the play speaks to the irony between dependence and fending for herself. She says that, quote, "I have always depended on the kindness of strangers." This line connects to the theme of loneliness that exists in the play as well as in William's personal life. His character Blanche desperately seeks companionship and protection in the arms of total strangers. This correlates with Williams' struggle with depression, sexual identity, and his continued loss of loved ones and their support throughout his life. Toward the end of his play, A Streetcar Named Desire, Blanche makes a statement within an argument with another character, Mitch. She asks, quote, "What is straight? A line can be straight, or a street, but the human heart, oh no, it's curved like a road through mountains." This is essentially said because Blanche's obscene sexual history is being brought up at this time in the play, but this line has an uncanny parallel to William's own personal life and his troubles dealing with his own homosexuality. The undertone of the "what is straight" question that Blanche asks is of the utmost irony. At the beginning of the play, in Scene 1, Williams makes the underlying suggestion that Blanche's downfall is in fact caused by her own sexual history. Blanche says, "They told me to take a streetcar named Desire and transfer to one called Cemeteries and ride 6 blocks. This journey is a precursor to the play and metaphorically represents the trajectory of Blanche's life, as then viewed when watching the play, and subsequently William's own life as well."
How do you want to be remembered as the man who has given us all this great theater, all these incredible characters, all these insights into ourselves? How do you want people to look back and remember Tennessee Williams?
I haven't given that much thought. I hope they'll remember me favorably for some things.
Tennessee Williams never fully escaped all of his turmoil and inner demons. Surrounded by half-finished bottles of wine and a multitude of pills, he died in a New York City hotel room on February 25, 1983, at the age of 71. He allegedly choked to death on the cap from a bottle of eye drops he frequently used. The loss of his gag reflex that caused the fatal choking was attributed to the copious amounts of drugs and alcohol.
First of all, was too small to block the air passage and had absolutely nothing to do with his death. And where there's a cover-up, there has to be a reason for the cover-up. And the reason was that he was murdered.
Dakin Williams believes his brother was killed because he was about to change his will. Many others feel it was a form of suicide.
In fact, he took his own life. How deliberately, we don't know, but he took enough drugs deliberately that reveal to us the depth of despair with which he clearly had lived his final months. He wanted to close the door, and finally he did so.
It was Williams's depression and desperation that were so honestly written about that we find an important body of work and numerous examples of his genius and sincerity.
Tennessee Williams left behind theatrical classics. They earned him praise and adulation as the century's greatest playwright. He personally felt the extremes of ecstasy and torment, then put them in words and on stage for others to see, to hear, and most of all, to feel.
I often wonder, how can anybody like me? And yet, occasionally I discover that somebody does.